Yes, it's now time for us to review the headlines in today's newspapers. Of course, we begin with This Day newspaper, our newspaper of record, which is leading with the change of guard that has taken place at Nigeria's intelligence agencies. So the headline there is New Spy Chiefs Trigger New Expectations in Nation's Security. Of course, that's with the appointment of Ambassador Mohammed as the DG of the National Intelligence Agency and the appointment of Mr. Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi as the DG of DSS. So this article just looks at, of course, the changes that will be happening and some of the expectations that will be emerging thereof. Of course, this is a conversation we're going to unpack in detail a little bit later in the show, so make sure you stay tuned for us to dissect that. But still, on the front page of This Day, above the masthead, is a deep dive into the Owando Nigerian Ajip Oil Company deal. So NUPRC has come out to say that this deal followed due process, complied with extant rules. Of course, we know that these days where Owando is involved, specifically where Owando is involved, there is a microscopic lens on all of their dealings for obvious reasons. Of course, we know that it's the president's nephew heads that business. However, NUPRC is coming to say that this multi-million-dollar deal followed all due process and complied with all the rules. And everything is above board. So that's coming from the NUPRC. Let's move to Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard is focusing on education issues. The headline there is outrage as FG pegs age for writing WASCE at 18 years. So the commentary there, of course, is that from NUT saying that it will draw back education. Parents are vowing to go to court. WAEC is yet to respond. And Conway is saying that they want to schedule a meeting of stakeholders. ASU is asking why parents are rushing their children. So, of course, that's the West African Secondary School Certificate. And yesterday, the federal government made an announcement that it would become illegal for anybody under the age of 18 years to sit for that exam. Also on the front page of Vanguard, will implement state police. This is from governors of Ondo, Rivers and Jigawa, who are frustrated at what they feel is a slow pace at which the process of trying to establish state police is going. Of course, we know that Ondo State already has their own outfit, their local outfit, but this is a commitment that they're saying that, well, if we need to be those who spearhead this, then we will do so because state police is a necessity. Now let's move to the Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune is focusing on constitutional matters, as of course the Patriots have stepped up their move for a new Nigerian constitution. This is as they have set up a 17-man advocacy committee headed by Professor Anthony Kila and co-chaired by Senator Shehu Sani. And they are set to begin consultations with members of the National Assembly. They spoke on examples of Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Sudan, Canada. Now, of course, we know that the Patriots have also met with the president. I believe it was just a few weeks ago that they met with the president as they continue their advocacy for a new constitution for Nigeria. So in doing so, they've now set up an official body that is supposed to spearhead that conversation. Of course, above the masthead of the Nigerian Tribune, still a focus on Nigeria's security agencies. Tinubu removes Bichi, appoints Ajayi as new DSS DG, names Ambassador Mohammed NIA head. Big conversation being had today. Let's move to The Guardian newspaper. The Guardian has an interesting take on the economic debate currently going on. Of course, we spoke about this at the top of the show. The Guardian is saying Tinubu hints at economic recovery and inflation deficit concerns. However, below that there's an infographic which showcases the world's largest economies. And from that, there is a quote from the IMF. So the IMF, The Guardian is reporting that based on the IMF's estimates, Nigeria's GDP in US dollars declined from $477 billion in 2022 to $375 billion in 2023. And the IMF is also reporting that it is estimated, that's Nigeria's GDP, is estimated to drop further to $253 billion in 2024. And they're saying that the devaluation of the currency will continue to impact these GDP numbers. So contrary to what we're seeing from the NBS, which is reporting a growth in GDP, IMF is coming back and saying from 2022, this economy has declined from $477 billion to what we'll estimate it to be $253 billion in 2024. Also on the front page of The Guardian, Femi Falana rallies NBA against illegal arrest, detention by police, others. Of course, we know that the NBA conference is continuing, and so many headline speakers there, and so many great moments as well have been coming out of it. But of course, we expect nothing short of a fiery offering from the San Femi Falana, who continues to advocate for the rights of specifically for protesters and for those who are being illegally detained, especially after the fallout of the End Bad Governance protests. Now to the Daily Trust. Daily Trust is also focusing on economic issues. 21 states seek 1.65 trillion naira in loans despite 40% rise in FAC revenues. So the Daily Trust breaks down what states and LGAs have received thus far in their FAC allocations. 7.6 trillion naira released to states, LGs in 1 year, 20% of June allocation, enough to build 320 Port Harcourts. So the experts are urging for accountability. Not just the experts, I believe all Nigerians are urging for accountability, because these numbers are not translating to what we're seeing on the ground. And of course, we continue to clamor for the implementation of that Supreme Court ruling that is supposed to give these local governments their autonomy, because we do know that they haven't started receiving these funds directly into their accounts. At the bottom, youths angry, there'll be trouble if we don't act. That is from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who, of course, we know has been extremely vocal, continues to be vocal, and just also sounding the alarm to the powers that be, that the anger that we saw in the youths that culminated in the End Bad Governance protest has not disappeared. It hasn't gone. We need to act. He is encouraging that to be done from the government of the day. Now, let's take a look at some African newspapers. Business Day South Africa. Business Day South Africa, of course, is leading with a number of business issues, but I want to focus on a headline at the top, which is about Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero. It says Morero's JMPD gaffe. Now, Dada Morero made a submission just over the weekend where he said that he felt that the Johannesburg Metro Police Department should start recruiting foreign African nationals into the police force, because they would be able to converse and understand the foreign nationals, the criminals especially, who are living in Johannesburg. So he says that it would obviously aid law enforcement. Now, this was met with terrible, terrible backlash, as South Africans were very angry and said they do not want foreigners in their police force. So yesterday he was forced to tender an apology about that recommendation that he had made. And, it looks like it's going to be a rocky tenure for him as a mayor of Johannesburg. And also seems that sentiments, anti-foreign sentiments, continue to thrive in South Africa right now, and I wonder what it will take for those to be doused down. Now to Kenya, to the Daily Nation. Daily Nation has this powerful image of a protest from teachers in Nairobi, and the headline is Standoff. That's on Kenya's Daily Nation. This is as schools are set to open today across Kenya. However, there's still a standoff between the Kenyan government and the teachers, as the teachers are striking as they need their salaries to be reviewed. So that's what's happening today in Kenya as schools are supposed to resume. Well, let's move over to international papers. Let's look at the Financial Times. Financial Times is leading with defense spending. Gosh, it is a top defense contractors poised for $52 billion cash bonanza as orders soar. This is shocking news. I mean, not shocking, but it's just, It's alarming news. Of course, we know that geopolitical tensions are rising globally. So this is what's fueling defense spending. So you have countries are now almost in an arms race. So the arms contractors are saying that they have seen a spike of $52 billion in spending on new weaponry. People want modern ammunition. They want the new drones. They want all the new toys as the world continues to exist in the brink of tension. Now let's go to the New York Times. Last but definitely not least, New York Times, powerful image there asking, is India safe for women? However, I want to focus on an African story on the front page of the New York Times. It says East Africa is on the cusp of war. This is a report about how Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is seeking access to the coast. And the report is saying that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has started bullying Somalia because he feels that of all of Ethiopia's neighboring countries, Somalia might be the easiest to bully in order for Ethiopia to get access to the coast. Now, we already know that Somalia has been through so much with war, so it would be unfortunate. But this report, possibly a little bit alarmist, but nevertheless one for somebody to keep an eye on, saying that Ethiopia is bullying their neighbor Somalia in an effort to get access to the coast. Of course, we all know the economic benefit of having access to a coast. So that's what the world is looking like in terms of front pages of newspaper. Headlines is a lot to unpack there. Rufai, where would you like to begin?
Vimbai, Dr. Bhatt, you guys are parents. You have a very bright child that pretty much aces all his papers at the age of 11, 12, 13, 14. And the government says he can't write WAEC. That's bad. He has to wait till 18. That's almost unthinkable.
He's already in university at 18.
Yeah. I have a friend, Dr. Andrew Nevin. He finished university at the age of 17. He was a child prodigy in Canada. So you want to stop people's lives. I mean, who comes up with all sorts of policies? Are they not people that have very amazing talents that at that age has reached full maturity? And you know, we can have this long drawn out debate. Is age really maturity? Because if age was maturity, and we have a bunch of people that are always self-centered in the National Assembly about their own interests, they're a bunch of old men. But is that maturity? When they see the suffering Nigerians and they can't speak up for them. Till today, the National Assembly can't even ask the president who approved money for him to be able to buy this presidential jet he's bought. He's not told us the price yet. So you think age is maturity? So I think they should slam that conversation aside in the first place and let us do the needful. Ensure that people that have great ability are able to go through the educational system. I hear we need to go this morning. Yeah.
Okay, very quickly. The issue about policy is that policies are made in the public interest, not on the basis of the whims and caprices of public officials. And the stakeholders' input is also important when you want to make a policy. On the issue of age and WASC, that's the West African School Certificate examination which children write when they complete their secondary school education. All the stakeholders, parents, NUT, teachers, ASU, Conwa, they have said it is a wrong-headed proposal. So it's dead on arrival because the stakeholders say they do not want it. Number two, the minister is quoted to have said it's consistent with the 6334 policy, where all of that can be debated. The third point is that, look, in the UK, yes, they tell you 18 years, but in the same UK, you have the Imafino family.
Yes.
Children who graduated at the age of 9, graduated at the age of 10. In the US, you have Onwambua. There is a gentleman called Onwambua. By the time he finished as a neurologist, he was very young. So, but beyond all of this, is this a priority for Nigeria? I would think that age is not the priority. The priority should be about fixing the rot in the education system. If you do it, if you impose it on people at the level of WASC, how about JAMB? The JAMB Act does not state a specific age. The JAMB Act of 1989 just says, a suitable, qualified candidate. So, but the debate is out there, and I hope that the Ministry of Education will not act deaf and dumb, because that would not be the way to go about this. As for the new service chiefs, they have their jobs cut out for them. There is crisis in the northeast and northwest. Farmers cannot go to farm. There is kidnapping in the southwest. There's violence in the southeast. But these are insiders. They grew within the system. We hope that they would know what they should do. Congratulations to them, and we thank the departing, heads of both the DSS and the NIA.